Hi and welcome to this tutorial series where I'll be showing you tips and tricks on how to use the popular vector graphics software called Inkscape. On this lesson we're going to be learning how to create this logo. Some people call it the Arewa logo, others call it the North Star. I don't know its origins, but let's get started. So the first thing you want to do when you have a logo like this is to identify the parts that are repetitive so you can create them and just duplicate them to reuse. So right off the bat we see this tubular structure here which looks like an elongated rectangle. So one of the easiest ways to create this is to use the rectangle tool. So the rectangle tool is this with a shortcut R, so you could just drag until it gets to the desired shape. So by default it comes out looking like this. So you have two squares on the top left corner and the bottom right corners, and then this circular handle here. So this handle allows us to round off the edges so it becomes more like this, which looks more like this symbol. So the first thing you notice about this symbol is the center is hollow. So how we can achieve this is by duplicating this shape. So we're going to duplicate this right away. So with the item selected, if you mistakenly click elsewhere and there's nothing selected, you could just reselect by clicking on it. So once you click on it, you could just duplicate. So you could use the Control-C, Control-V most people are accustomed to in other softwares, but you could just use the Control-D because it's more accurate. So let me explain. When you do Control-C, Control-V, it tends to offset based on the position of your mouse from the center of the object. So we don't want that. So you can duplicate right on top of the object. So once you do that, you need to find a way to see the difference between the duplicate and the original. So you could do this by just selecting one of the colors here, which is different from the original color. So let's pick this. So right away you see a difference. Once you drag using the left or right keys, you'll see that there's another shape beneath it, which is the original shape. So we could now make this smaller. So we'll do this. You could drag and you could drag these handles over here, which is going to scale it, but you don't have much control over that, and it's not ideal. So you could just use the insert tool, which you can find here under paths. So with that rectangle selected, you come to path and then you look for where it says insert. So insert has a shortcut which is command or control depending on whether you're a Mac or Windows user, and then the left brace, or some people call it bracket. So if you click once, you won't see much of a difference, but you'll see a small outline. So you hold control and you click the open bracket a few times and you see this. So what we want to do right now that we have the insert is to select both shapes. So you could do that by highlighting, and then you need to subtract the central shape from the original shape. So you could do that using what's called a Boolean operator. A Boolean operator is basically an operator that allows you to create complex shapes from simple shapes by combining them, subtracting them, getting their intersections. So in this case, we're going to have a difference operator, which means we're going to subtract this from the original shape. So you go to path and you'll find this is the list of Boolean operators over here: union, difference, intersection, exclusion, division, and cut path. So the one we need right now is the difference, and it automatically subtracts. So once that's out of the way, you'll notice that we have something that looks very close to this. The main difference I think you'll notice is that this is standing up straight while this is inclined at an angle, 45 degrees to be exact. So you could do this manually. So when you click on the object, you click on it a second time, the arrows around it change. So the ones at the top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right become these kind of like circular motion directional arrows. So you could just click one of them, drag, and the orientation changes. So there's no way to control how many degrees this is by default. So, but you could also use this tool here. So you have a bunch of options here: fill and stroke. This is for object properties. Then you have transform. So we need to go to transform. So under transform, you have these sub tabs: move, scale, rotate, skew, and matrix. So the one we need right now is rotate, and we need to rotate this by 45 degrees. So type in 45, hit apply, and voila. have it inclined at the exact angle we need. So this is identical to this. The only difference is it's flipped on the horizontal axis. So you could just duplicate this. If you remember, I said you hit Control D or Command D if you're on Mac. Then you can flip it horizontally by tapping the key H, which stands for horizontal. And voila, you have this already. So the next part we have is this. So there are many ways to solve a problem, not just on Inkscape, but in life entirely. So what you need to do is find the one that works for you. So we need to create this shape. Most people would go like this with a rectangle, click on the rectangle, then start to manipulate these median pieces. But remember, if you try to do that, there's no control for the symmetry of your object. So I'm going to give you another method which will work just as well. So we're going to use a circle, and we're going to use something that kind of looks like the Boolean operators. So we create an ellipse by dragging like this. So right at the top left, you'll have Rx and Ry. These are the radii, plural of radius, of the circle. So if they're equal, that's a circle. If they're not, which means either the height or the width is greater than the other, it's not going to be a circle, it's going to be an ellipse. So we need them to be identical, to be the same value. So let's take them all the way to 80 each. So once we do that, what we're going to do with this is we're going to have an intersection of where these circles do not intersect. So let me explain. Let me just show it rather than explain. So I need to make sure that this tool here is blue, which is a snapping tool. This makes sure that close by objects snap close to each other. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to drag it to the right. So it snaps to the right side of the original shape. So notice this. There's this shape right here. It's kind of interesting. So I need to duplicate this again. Command D and take it down. So notice this shape in between here, this is exactly what I need. So I could get that shape by selecting all of these circles, and then I'll hit X, which is the shape builder tool. So everything turns gray. It's alright, don't panic. And once you hover over any portion of this shape, any place bounded by lines, you're going to have this light blue hover effect. So I need this. So once I hover here, I just hit my left click button and then hit enter, and voila, we have that shape. So just like before, we're going to make an inset. So we do that by first duplicating, then we select a different color for this so that we can tell when the insert is working. So we're going to use a shortcut, which is Control and the open brace or open bracket. We do that a couple of times, and you see that we have our inset. So we're going to use the Boolean operator just like before. So you could either do a rectangular selection by clicking and dragging over the two shapes, or you can have the first shape selected and then you hold shift and click on the second one. Then you go back to path and then go to difference, and voila. So you drag this over the original shape, try as much as possible to match it. So because we did not do this at the center, it's going to be kind of tricky to get it into place. Yeah, this seems about right, but we need to scale it out. So if I start scaling like this by dragging this, it's not going to be equal. So let me even show you. It's not going to be equal. So I need it to scale from the center. So I can easily do that by going back to the transform section. I'll go to scale. You have scale right over here. And I need to scale this proportionally, which means I need it to expand horizontally as well as vertically with the same value. So I'll have this ticked. So for the width, I'm going to take it all the way to 110% so I can see how it scales incrementally. So once you change the value for width, height automatically, because we clicked on the scale proportionately, the height takes on the exact same value. So we hit on apply and notice our shape becomes slightly bigger. So we hit it a couple of times. I could have picked a larger value, but I want to have more control, which is why I left it like this. So I think this is good enough. So this is close to our original logo. So now that our logo is done, all we need to do is select the original color for the two rings we created before. We can do this using the dropper tool. So the dropper tool allows us to fetch the color of an existing shape. So we make sure that the new shape, that's the star, the outer star, is the same color as the base shape here. So click on it and voila, enter. Yeah, so if you would like to see more tutorials like this, leave a comment below. If you have specific requests, kindly just leave a comment with your requests. See you all in the next tutorial. Thank you.